Now, along the weightlessness spectrum, the W spectrum, you will have noticed that in the beginning, strength is extremely overweighted compared to the other two. And that's for good reason. People that tend to be overly flexible without the strength and conditioning are at risk of injury. While people that tend to start meditative practices too early, they tend not to have the fortitude to stick to it. Okay? It takes a lot of practice, a lot of hard work to be able to sustain concentration and awareness to a point where it's effective. To give you guys an example, the weightlessness spectrum is loosely based on what I perceive to be the classical Shaolin Kung Fu developmental process. In that process, they do 10 years of physical training. That is 6 hours a day, every day, maybe with 1 day rest, for 10 years before they begin the meditative practices. Now, to put this in perspective, Shaolin Kung Fu is a Buddhist practice. It is all about religion. It is all about meditation. Okay, so the premise of this entire journey is how do we elevate the mind so that we can practice a sense of spirituality, live fully in the world, etc., etc. Now, they say that's great, that's what we want. Now, if you want to be effective at that and actually do that, you got to put in your 10 years of physical training first. Think about that kind of a mindset. Now, I don't believe it needs to be this extensive, but I do believe if you do not develop your body and understand and learn legitimate strength, which is internal, it's mental, it's internal, it's building the fortitude that comes from testing your body, that builds the capacity to then develop your mind. It's, in my opinion, almost a fruitless effort to go toward meditation if you have not fully prepared the body. And within that, the mental components of fortitude, drive, and concentration that stem from doing things like testing yourself against iron. Okay? These are crucial skills. So, that's the reason it's overweighted in the weightlessness spectrum to begin with. On the other hand, we cannot overweight it for the long term because we have to bring the mind up at some point, and that's a sense of integration and full performance. And a quick note to those people who tend to excel in the strength camp, maybe relative to the other pillars. So if we're looking at the issue of strength relative to flexibility, when you take somebody that is extremely strong but has poor range of motion, they are a prime candidate for injury of all kinds. Okay, let's take a very classic example of the deadlift. A deadlift requires a neutral spine, but if somebody's tight in the hamstrings, potentially lower back, and the glutes, as soon as they start to bend forward, there is no way to do so without the lower back rounding out and arching. This is how people slip discs and break their backs, okay? It gets to a point, now not everybody needs to do the full splits, but you have to get to a base level of flexibility that will allow you to do normal human movements without getting injured. That means picking things up off the ground, which is the deadlift. It means deep squatting, which is human movement. It's the normal resting position for, at least right now, at least 50% of the world. Right now I'm in Vietnam, and you can go down the street and you'll see 100 people sitting that way, eating lunch, resting, doing all kinds of things, and yet you're hard pressed to find somebody, even a fit person in the United States, Europe, or Canada, who can sit in a deep squat for more than a few seconds and sit comfortably with an erect spine. This is a problem. We are built to move this way, and we've lost it. Okay, kids can do this. You've noticed this too. Watch a kid, watch a toddler under 3 years old. They can all do this, assuming they can stand and squat. Okay, that is also their resting position. So this is natural human movement that we've given up for our modern type of lifestyle. It's important to get this back. Okay, this is a key metric. So flexibility is crucial. If we look at the mental component, okay, you may have extraordinary physical capacity, but at some point, if you don't bring your mind up to a state where you've got the concentration and the awareness to use it, you'll be fine in the gym and you will suffer as soon as you're in an environment that doesn't conform to your expectations or your desires. Okay? These pillars are crucial and they are inextricably linked. Okay? So, there we are for strength. Let's get on to some of the others.